Saxon Advanced Mathematics lesson, oh no, it's not lesson 96. It's the winter midterm review. Oh my gosh, I was gonna teach you a lesson that you've already learned. All right, what we're doing today is we are making a list of the lessons that are likely to be on the test and a little description so that you'll remember what we're talking about. I'm gonna remind you of formulas and things that I want you to study. You guys do a good job of this, but I'm gonna remind you that you need to show me your formulas on the test in order to receive all the points. I'm just drilling that into everyone's heads, but you guys have got a really good handle on that. So don't feel like you need to change. Just remember to keep doing what you're doing. The first thing that I want to remind you is that we're going to be filling out a unit circle and all of our trig identities. I'm going to give you a blank form. So it'll have the circle on it and the lines. You can fill that in. And with the trig identities, I will have an organized form that will have the general categories. So for example, I'll have a section that says basic trig functions. Then I'll have reciprocal functions, and you'll write them in, right? Negative angle identities, or I'll put even or odd because they're called both things. Quotient functions are tangent and cotangent, right? The Pythagorean identities, I'll make 9 places and then I'll kind of divide them off into 3 sections of 3. The co-function identities, these are important also. Make sure you have those. And then my sum and difference are on a different page. Let me find them. Well, I have a million of those. But then I'll have double angle. We'll have the sum and difference identities, and then we'll have a place to calculate the double angles and the half angles so that everything is in front of you, all right? Then you will be able to use those sheets on your test however you like, and that will simplify a lot of the work you need to do on the problems, all right? So I won't be grading these separately, but I will allow you to use them on the test, and you don't have to show your work on the test if you're just pulling it off of this. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's get into the lessons now. 96, more double angle identities. Okay, these are the problems where we're actually using the double angle identities the way we do other identities, where we change the left side to get to the right side. Yes, I like those. 95. Advanced complex roots. Yes, I like these. We've done complex roots before, and that's okay. It's been fine, but this is with more complicated numbers. We do need to use calculators on these problems because the numbers are big and gnarly, okay? Remember that complex numbers can have a rectangular form, like 6 plus 0i. That's the rectangular form of a complex number. And then we can also express it. Oh, I want to find a number so it'll be right. Well, these two won't necessarily relate to each other. We can also reflect that as a polar number is what I want to say, not complex. And that would be like 3 cis 90 degrees, okay? Those aren't the same. Those aren't related to each other, but this is the way it looks, where it has the cis. And remember that this means 3 times the cosine of 90 degrees plus I always make it the wrong way. I times the sine of 90 degrees. Remember that this is what this stands for, okay? Rectangular and polar. Don't let that freak you out. 94. These are the graphs of secant and cosecant. Where you find the ghosts of the sine or the cosine sinusoids and then work around them to find the secant and cosecant. I can see a problem on these. I will not test you on the tangent functions. Okay, those are just weird. 93. Advanced trig identities. These are similar to 96 in that they are identity problems. These don't have double angles in them. Okay. I do recommend that you keep these lesson numbers in your brain, because when you look at the number that because I put these numbers on the test problems, that will help you understand whether you're likely to need double angles or whether you know you won't need them, okay? So that's the biggest difference there. Make sure, I'm definitely gonna have an identity problem. 92, probability of either. I like these. I think they're a nice break from a lot of the other craziness we've done. This is about the redheaded boys. That's a good one. And then the notations for the permutations and I might do that one. It's the second part of lesson. And remember that we can derive these formulas, but I'm going to just show you what they are. The probability of n things taken r at a time, or the number of permutations, I'm sorry, not probability, is the number of things factorial times the difference factorial. With combinations, the formula changes in just one tiny way. See, all that is the same, and then we just add one more element, okay, to the denominator. All right, so maybe a problem like that, I'm still thinking. I definitely want you to know those formulas. Okay, 91. Geometric progressions, yes. Oh, wait, geometric progressions. That's where we have a to the 1 equals the first term. And then r equals the common ratio. Whoops, ratio. And then we can say for the nth term, it's a to the 1 plus, I'm sorry, not plus. I'm thinking about the addition times. R to the n minus 1 exponent, right? So with this form, we can find any term if we have the initial value and the common ratio, all right? One of these is highly likely. Lesson 90 is the lesson where we learn to develop double angles and half angles. I might put this on the test, but I would probably just have you do just the double angles or just the half angles. I don't know that I would put you through the whole exercise. That takes a lot of time. Oh, that's lesson 90, sorry. So, and I'm going in the wrong direction. So this would be 89. Ooh, the ellipse. And this is where we use the information about the foci. And we know that we can make that little triangle here. I'll just draw a picture of it. That's the easiest way to explain it. Oh, that is so off. But we know that if this is F1, that this is equal to A, and this is equal to B, and then we can calculate, right? I like those. And I consider those easy. 88. Exponential growth and decay. These are a calculator. Problems. The formula is A at any certain amount equals the original amount times E raised to a constant times the time. Make sure you know that. Right? You would need a calculator for that. I consider the growth problems to be easier than the decay. They're just mentally it just works. 87 is sum and difference identities. There's nothing new there. 86 is arithmetic means. They work a lot like the geometric means, except we add. We take the initial value plus what we call the common difference multiplied by n minus 1, right? That's the formula we can use to find any of them. A1 is the original amount, D1 is the common difference. 85. 2 parts. Advanced trig equations. Oh, I like these too, you guys. Equations. These help us use our unit circles. They test so much stuff that we've learned over the year. And then 85 is clock problems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let's just do one more because 13's bad luck. I mean, I don't really believe that, but. 84, sinusoids. Oh my gosh, I want a problem on every one of these. Sketching, sinusoids, right? And in this, we need to know that there's the center line, and there's the amplitude, and there's the period, and there's the phase shift. And there's a lot to remember about each of those steps. Lesson 84 explains it all out. Okay? And then the other part of 84, no, I'm not even going to include that. So there are 14 different topics for you to explore. Let me tell you how I would like you to study for this. That's a lot, isn't it? To study. The first thing I want to remind you is that for any subject, for any test, what you need to do is you need to find out how you're going to be tested on this subject, and you need to practice doing exactly what you need to be doing for the test, right? That's what practicing means, is to do the exact thing so that when you're doing it in the high pressure situation, you'll feel very comfortable and at ease because you've done it before. So when Olympic gymnasts are preparing for a competition, they don't watch video of gymnasts in the past who have done these tricks, or whatever they're called, I'll call them tricks. They have to go out and do it themselves, right? They don't watch footage of themselves doing it. They don't just sit there and think about it. You have to actually do the thing that you're going to do. That is very important in mathematics as well as anything else. So, because I'm going to be asking you to do problems on the test, I actually want you to do problems as you study. This may sound obvious, but I do know of students, and I was one myself when I was younger, where I thought I can just flip through the book and look at the topics and the different kinds of problems, and I'll know if I know how to do them or not. I don't need to spend a lot of time actually working problems. No, don't do that. Actually work the problems. What I want you to do is go through that list we just made, and I want you to work all the examples for all the lessons on our list. Now that might sound like a lot, but it's 14 lessons. So if each lesson only had one problem, that would be 1 day's homework, okay? So considering that the test is at the second half of the week, you can spend at least 2 days working on the homework. Plus, none of this is new. It's all stuff that you've seen before, so you're reviewing. So your pace could be a little bit faster than your pace of your homework. But don't let this overwhelm you. It's not that bad. Just work them through. If you are struggling, if at all, I want you to message me. Do not wait and pray that it will all fall into place when you're taking the test. Do not put it off and feel weird about reaching out to me. Just message me. It's fine. We can talk about it. I recommend that you not use email because I am less immediate in my responses to my email. Text me, regular text, or you can messenger me on Facebook Messenger if you like that. I'm on WhatsApp as well if that's convenient for you, but reach out to me immediately. Don't wait if anything's confusing you. But if you're feeling good but you just want to work some more problems, what I recommend you do is work practice problems. And I'll explain why I suggest that. First of all, working examples is the best way to learn, and I'll tell you why. Because, here, I'll use my marker bag. Here I am. I cover up the answer. I see a problem. I work it. I do my best. Then I look at the answer. I follow how John does it. He's given me not just a step-by-step like he does in the solutions manual. He gives me words to help me understand. And this is the best explanation John provides anywhere for how to do a problem. So that's why I want you to work the examples, is because they have such a good explanation behind them. Second best are the practice. Oh, you don't have practice problems in this book. Shoot, never mind. So just go into the homework and try to find more problems like that. John, in this book, he does not put the little lesson reference by this. He puts it by the number in the solutions manual, which I don't have in front of me. But if you look in your solutions manual at the numbers of the problems, there he has the little key where you can find more detail. So if you're looking for more problems on lesson 95, you can go into your solutions manual and skim through the lists of problem sets and look for a 95 reference. That's the best way to do it. I forgot you guys don't have practice. Okay. Using lesson codes in solutions manual. Now, I will tell you that because I pull my test problems from the problem sets themselves, there have been times where students have said to me, and they always wait until after the test, which I think is really smart, but what I'm telling you is you don't need to worry about it. They'll say, oh, when I was studying. I actually worked such and such a problem, and you put that problem on the test, and I remembered it. And what I say to that is, hurrah for you. That is fabulous that your studying was so thorough and complete that you studied one of the problems that I chose. I think that's fantastic. I do not think that's like cheating or unfair or anything like that. No, I think it's great that you were that thorough in your studying. So you may just run across the problems that I choose if you keep at it. And then that kind of ties into my next point. And this is why I make this point. This test is going to be Wednesday, from sometime between Wednesday noon and Thursday noon, right? You have all that flexibility. What that means is that if a student sits down on Monday and studies for 8 hours for this test, which is amazing, that's a long time. I would think most of you don't need to study that long. But let's say they worked really hard, but then that student slid away their books and didn't think about math until Wednesday night and then said, okay, I'm going to do that test now. It could have been, 2+ days since that student's brain has thought about math, and that's too long. That's too long of a gap from when you studied to when you're taking the test. So what I want you to do, you can do a big study session on Monday, for example, but I want you to at least brush up your studies within 24 hours of when you plan to take the test, right? I have very little control over that. So you kind of have to figure this out yourself. Remember that the basic time frame will be noon on Wednesday. That does not say moon, it says noon. To noon on Thursday, right? That's roughly the window. You have a little bit later than that. But you need to plan it out when you think you're going to take the test, and then work backwards and go, okay, when should I plan my last study session? And then, maybe from there go back and go, okay, well, but when am I going to do most of my studying? This will just be like a final review. I used to always do that. The night before a test, I've tried to do most of my studying before, and I'm talking about college. I tried to study, mostly I just tried to keep up with my work as I went so that I wasn't really ever having to cram. But I would do a big review laid out usually like this, a couple days before, and then the night before the test, I would always do my last study session, review, refresh. Hopefully I felt under control already. I would go over my formulas one more time. I would run through a problem or two of the ones that were really freaking me out the most. But I wouldn't stay up late. I would it was almost like to reassure myself that I really did know this really well. But I would plan that last run through study session. It's like a dress rehearsal of a play, right? Where you are pretty sure you've got it all down, but you're just going to run through things one last time. And then the next day you can take your test and be confident. I also always did it at night, the night before, and then went to bed feeling peaceful and serene about what was going to happen. Now, that ties me into my next and final point, which was that I was very lucky, and I'm still very lucky, in that I tend to stay calm in a testing situation. And people like me are very, very fortunate because our emotional makeup is just such that we kind of go into like almost like a zone, right? Where you just get calm and focused and you just sit down and work. And when I'm working on a test, time ceases to pass. That's fabulous, lucky me, right? But not everybody's like that. A lot of people have what the world refers to as testing anxiety, which sounds kind of dramatic, but it just means your emotions get stirred up by a test, which is fine. There's no shame in that. And what that means, though, is that you just need to take a few extra steps to help keep that under control. Because if our emotions are whipped up, we can't focus and we can't work as well as when we're calm. So if tests stress you out, no worries. Just plan for that. Plan ahead for that and think about how you're going to control that. The number one thing that I recommend that you think about is the timing of when you take the test, okay? I am giving you 24 hours. That means you can really use the timing of this test to your advantage. I'll tell you what, if it was me taking a test right now, I would take it at midnight. I'd wait till the house was quiet, everyone else had gone to bed. I would have a big drink of water and sit down, make sure the house was clean, calm myself down, sit down and work on that test, because that's when my brain works best. But my brain is not your brain. So what I'm telling you is not take your test at midnight. I'm not saying that. I'm saying think about how your brain works and pick a time that will work best for you. I would also remind you that your brain is changing rapidly because of the age you're at. And what felt good to you even back at Christmas when we took our last midterm, your brain might not feel the same way anymore. Mothers, because they care, often want to give input to this decision of the when to do this. And that's fine. But again, your mother probably knows you better than anyone else on this planet, but she doesn't know what it feels like inside your brain. So certainly listen to any advice your mom gives you and consider it. But in the end, you have to do what makes sense to the way your brain works. Okay? So I really encourage you to spend some time thinking about that. Once you settle on a time and you've got your studying under control, then I want you to turn your attention to particulars like eating a good meal before you sit down, drinking plenty of water, choosing an environment that works for you. Some people need peace and quiet and, not a thumbtack out of place. Other people prefer to work in a place where they can hear thumping and bumping or noise of people in the next room. It's up to you. Once again, it's your brain. You figure out how it works and choose the ideal setting for you. I do highly recommend, sleep. I didn't mention that, but get your sleep straightened out too, as best you can. Take a nap before the test. But one of my favorite things to do before I'm in a situation like this is go for a walk outside. Fresh air, physical movement. Take your dog so you have something to smile at if you have one. If you can go move outside, it is so good for your brain to just get it in maximum performance mode. So I'm writing that one down. Okay? Water, sleep, food, blah, 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 the right environment. I've said all those things before. If you still feel like you're kind of anxious, kind of stressed about this, and you feel like your emotions might get in the way of your performance, if your emotions have gotten in the way of your performance in the past, I recommend that you Google how to control test anxiety so that you can get some other ideas about how to just kind of get this under control. So I'm writing this step as make a plan to control test anxiety. And I know that sounds kind of dramatic. Those are good Googleable words. How to control text anxiety. That's a great way to Google it. So I just want to get those words before you. If you're sitting here thinking, I don't really have test anxiety, that's fine. I still think you should think about sleep, food, water, exercise, and environment. And again, moms, bless our hearts, love to give our kids advice around these topics, and that's great. But this is part of becoming an adult, which you are well on your way to being, is you have to start judging for yourself what works best for you. Okay? So take, advice under advisement if your grandma, if your grandpa, if your dad, your mom, your uncle, your great Aunt Henry, what? Anyone who wants to give you advice probably loves you and wants what's best for you. So by all means, listen to them. But in the end, you have to do what's right for you because that's what it is to be an adult. Okay, now I'm done talking about how to study and how to prepare for the test. The drop-off, as you know, will be around noon on Wednesday. Pick up, it'll be later than this. It'll be more like 3 or 4. Same jam. I'll leave it on your porch. I'll drop probably your mom or you a text message just saying, hey, it's on your porch, or hey, I picked it up, or hey, I'm leaving to come get your packet, so please put it out. If you have any questions at any point, message me or call me, just straight call me, and let me know what I can do to help you further. Yay! You're gonna do great. Thank you, goodbye.